He's mad as a hatter. It must be time for a quest. Here's Legion's quest. Welcome to a Smurd P video, and today we are looking at another X-Men Omnibus, or oversized hardback, whatever they're calling this. I always call it an Omnibus, and it's the Legionquest. Big shout out to Comic Cult Trio, and I hope I've said that second bit right. I was giving it some real thought, mate. You pretty much hounded me to get this. That's not the reason I got this. You know, I didn't give in to peer pressure, but you pointed out that it's a gap that I should fill why I have the opportunity, because I don't know and you don't know if we're going to have that opportunity again. So I appreciate that little nudge. And why aren't you getting that sort of thing? Why are you putting this off? You know, is there a reason for it? And I put this off for well over, I think, a year this has been out, so I certainly took my time to get this. Now, the front cover is very nice. I do love this whole Legion looking sinister with the far behind. Slight issue with mine. I bought mine for 20 quid on Amazon. I think it was returned, and I've only just noticed that there was, sorry, I have a little nip there. And it says in there that there might be a black mark, which I don't think is a big deal. If it was a bigger omnibus, one that I thought had value, I think I probably would have sent it back. Or, you know, I probably wouldn't have bought it for 20 quid with the risk that there could be some minor damage to it. Also, I seem to be, and I put it in my little stand today, because I seem to be struggling to keep it to stand up, which is a little bit of a shame. But there's the side. And this is what it collects. Uncanny X-Men 318 to 321, X-Men 38 to 41, X-Men Unlimited 4 to 7. So there's a big chunk of that. It's got annual X-Men Annual 3, X-Factor 107, 109, which is probably the big kind of point of getting this omnibus, because that's the bit just before the Age of Apocalypse omnibus where Legion wakes up, and then you got the Cable 20, which finishes the whole Legacy Quest going back in time story, which ends up taking us into the Age of Apocalypse. Now, I'll tell you why I'm disappointed with this volume, and I'm not disappointed with the volume. It's a nice idea, and it was around the time that the Legion TV series was hyped up, etc. I think the year before that we had, I can't remember when Apocalypse the film came out, but we had it a couple of years back. I feel like they should have just done a Phalanx Covenant omnibus that extended to some of these issues, but stopped just before the Age of Apocalypse omnibus, where we get the actual, that little mini series. That's what I would like to see, rather than this, because this is just a cop out, and we know you're going to pay for it, sort of. To those, as Near Mint Collector pointed out, those completists in us that say, actually, I want the full 90s run, you know, from start to kind of finish on the core X-Men stories. Okay, so underneath the dust cover, we've got the synthesis, which is the norm. It just goes through whatever. And then we've got the talented team, the creators, the writers, the artists, the letterers, the inkers, and all those good people that make these books happen. Okay, I've got to say that I don't know what it is. This is just astonishing. And do you know what? I really like Legion, especially when he first rocked up in New Mutants, where, you know, he was kind of out of control. Those, and I loved the art back then as well. It was stuff that was intriguing in I think it was the mid 80s probably, around the time that we got some really dark stories. We had Long Shot, and there's some really gritty art in some of these stories. Secret Wars 2, I think, was quite a gritty story that, you know, is quite different to the normal good versus bad stories that we were perhaps having at the time. So Legion in New Mutants was the art sold it, and that's what I like about this kind of page here. It kind of looks sinister, it looks twisted, because Legion he's out of control. He has no control of himself, and that's what he was back then. Don't get me wrong, in the X-Men Legacy Legion series, you know, I love him in that when he's trying to be, he's still a bit twisted, but he's trying to preserve Xavier's dream, etc. I love Legion in that as well. Okay, so we have some nice art at the beginning. Once again, we get all the writers and stuff. Got some nice shattering going on with some of the main core characters, and then it's straight into X-Men Unlimited. So pretty much what I'm saying is there is a big chunk of this book that is not related to Legion or Legion's quest. It was just about building a book, which is once again nice. It's nice to get some of the X-Men Unlimited series into these books, because that's what's been happening with the later volumes as well. We got the Omnibus last year, the Chris Claremont Omnibus, which had X-Men Unlimited in. So it makes sense that we also got some of that earlier issues somewhere as well. One of the things I like is you see the aftermath of the Phalanx Covenant. So you got Beast and Skin. This is a nice issue where it's all about Skin's like, hey, I'm going off. I don't need school or whatever you're trying to sell me. And Julie decides to leave as well. And she finally has a nice moment with Angel. And she's like, hey, Angel, you know what? You never gave me the time of day. And that's because he's become cold and distant with some of the newer members over the years. And even that stretches back to even the Uncanny X-Men run where Wolverine and Banshee, he wasn't interested in them. He was like, you know what? We're the group. You guys are just invading, sort of thing. And that was a common theme. And you know what I liked in X-Force, Uncanny X-Force, is how Angel and Wolverine's relationship changed. And, you know, Wolverine always thought that he was just a billionaire playboy, etc., who fancied Jean, but he was more than that. So I just thought I had my 2 cents into why I'm scrolling through this, because I've read most of these issues because I've slowly been reading through my omnibuses over the last year, and I got to the back of Phalanx Covenant, and I didn't have that in between bit before the Age of Apocalypse omnibus, which now obviously I do in paper form, but I just read it on X-Men Unlimited. And so Mystique, so what happens is Mystique tries to kill Legion, only for him to wake up on X-Factor's watch, and it goes wrong. And in the end, he's like, I'm going to fix my mistake. So Mystique causes catastrophe. I also love this Rogue and Bobby's little adventure, which follows on after Age of Apocalypse as well. So it's very nice. And there's some creepy things in this book, such as Legion posing as Professor X, kissing his mom. Hope he didn't use tongues, because that's just, wow. That's just strange. We don't want that. Landra coming to Professor Xavier and saying, actually, we're in big trouble. Something's going down. We're all going to be crystallized via the M-Cron crystal. And the M-Cron crystal, and I'm probably saying that completely wrong, M-Cron, has a big role to play in Gambit and the external story in Age of Apocalypse, and getting the timeline back on track. One thing, and I think I've said this numerous times, is I hate the fact that they decided to keep the Age of Apocalypse timeline going. It really bugged me in Uncanny X-Men, and then we got whole issues of it. It was meant to end, and it didn't, and they tried bringing it back, and it was just wrong. It was a masterpiece that should have been left well alone. So that bit leaves me a bit bitter. But no, I'm not saying that I don't enjoy reading about Age of Apocalypse, but it's been done to death now. At the back, we got the swimsuit issues. It's a bit intimate for a kid's comic, even though most adults read it. Wow, there's lots of intimate moments. Blimey. And Wizard, which was a big magazine back then. I don't know if it still runs. Not that I look. And the gold covers, which was a big thing with the Age of Apocalypse series. I just wanted to show you, and this is another reason why I bought it, same with some of the cable omnibuses that I brought recently, is the fact that we are getting finally some full runs of X-Men and Uncanny X-Men in these omnibuses. And I would go back further, and I will later in the year, because we're going to get Shadow Shot at one point here. Now that almost gives us a full run all the way back to Mutant Massacre, which is absolutely crazy. But at the moment with this, we have a nice run from Fatal Attractions to the Win of Cyclops and Phoenix, Phalanx Covenant, Legionquest following on from that, and Age of Apocalypse. These are good times to be an X-Men fan and to be collecting. I am thoroughly enjoying getting almost full sets of books now, which is brilliant. The only thing that, like I said, kind of pees me off is that I would like to see just a Phalanx Covenant omnibus that covers all the way up and just before this. That, I think, would be spot on from a Marvel perspective. And we're going to buy it because that's what we do. Phalanx Covenant has been out of print for probably a decade now, I think. Legionquest has come in to fill a gap. You could easily do it. And people will buy it. I will buy it. I'm sure other big fans out there will buy it. Or omnibus collectors will buy it. So once again, a big shout out to Comic Cult Trio for saying you probably should get this because you're right. And thank you. I think it's a nice book. Like I said, I have my bugbears about it, but it's not the end of the world. So like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Facebook. My page is SmurredP. Follow me on Twitter @SmurredP. No idea what I'm doing there, but I'm on it. And embrace the geekiness. Take care. Goodbye.